Welcome, everyone, to another exciting, fun filled episode of Redwood. And I'm here with Angelo and Chip. And Angelo has something on his mind today, wants to talk about spaces, transitional spaces. So, and this is, I'm pretty sure this is not about interior decorating. Is that correct, Angelo?
Well, I was gonna go into that, but now that you took that off the table, I guess I have to talk about something else now. But really quickly, I love that you know we kind of touched on this right before we hit record, and I want to preface it with this idea of transitional spaces. In a tactical term, one space, let's say, is your car, another space is your home. So when you are driving home from work and you park your car in the driveway and you go from your car into your home, that area in the middle, in between, like your lawn, your front yard, whatever, those are transitional spaces from one area to the next. Usually, if there is a crime or if someone's gonna, ambush you, it's gonna happen in that transitional space. And we're talking about the transitional spaces of life from a boy to a man. Or see, even that, like you don't just go from a boy to a man. There's a boy to a teen, and then a teen to a man. But tie this in together, we are trying to explore why do men, and I know women too, right? Like this is not just for men. Why specifically? Why do men have a hard time transitioning from one thing or from one phase of life or one season of life to the next? Because we see it. We see so many men struggle in the men's groups that we run, in the men's groups that we're part in. It's hard for men to see what the next season is going to look like, especially when they're in that transitional space.
And Angelo, what do you see as challenges or difficulties? And I'll ask that to you too, Chip. What are people's difficulties in those transitional spaces? What makes it hard? What makes those hard?
So, I haven't had these type of like tactile conversations. I've been out of that season of life for a minute now. But when I think about it, I know you're kind of asking me about the manhood stuff, but I go back to the tactical phase. And what happens is when we're going from our car to the home, our brain is usually like on decompress mode. Like we're not paying attention anymore. Like we're already getting ready to be like, all right, I'm at home.
Nice.
Right. Like that transition, our mind is also transitioning from, I just came from work. I was work me. Now I got to go be dad. I got to go be husband. I got to go be whoever. Or if you're single, now I get to go inside, have my dinner, play my video games, whatever that looks like. And that transitional space in between, you're not looking at your surroundings. You're not paying attention to to the car that's parked in front of your house. That's that new car you haven't noticed, or even across the street. You're not paying attention to your surroundings because your mind is already like, I'm already safe. I'm already, because you're in that transitional space. So there's this lull to safety when you're in a transitional space. There's almost like give yourself a break, give my mind a break. And that, I think when we apply that to men, we don't realize we're taking the break and we've stopped paying attention to our environment.
Can I add real quick to that?
Hmm.
You have a framework, right? So what I'm hearing you say is you have a framework for car, you have a framework for home, but you're not having a framework because you don't spend very much time there, right? So that
Yes,
makes sense. You don't have a framework for the transitional space.
correct.
Yeah. So you just kind
Correct.
of wing it, right? So people tend to wing it in transitional spaces.
Oh, I like that. I like that. What you got, Chip?
Well, I mean, I love that you touched on the transitional spaces as like you're basically your mind is just more at peace or more relaxed because you're going home, you finally get to rest, you're like not driving anymore, you don't have that stress on you to like pay attention to the road, all of this stuff. But I also like act to piggyback on that because it's also when you're like high level, high energy, high intensity in a sense that when your heart rates up is like either fight or flight mode, right? And it just brings me to the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. right? They had their safe space in the sense that, they knew who their God was, right? And then all of a sudden is that transitional period where, hey, you gotta bow down and you gotta worship our God. And all of a sudden they don't do that. And it's like that transitional period that, hey, you're gonna be thrown in the fire. And not only that, but the fire intensifies. So their walk from their safe space to the fire, when I'm sure their heart rate was going up because they seen that the fire was, I think, intensified like 7 times, that even the people that try to get close to it got basically burnt and killed by it. So, and those moments, again, obviously I wasn't there, so I don't know what they were thinking. But I'm thinking as a human being, because even in the words that they chose, right? Like they said, even if our God will not save us, we will still not bow down to you. I wouldn't say that it was doubt, but to me, it almost sounds like, maybe they doubted a little bit that, hey, even if this doesn't happen, like, we're okay with it. We're still not going to follow that. So in that transitional period, no matter what the outcome, they still trusted in that. So, for me, like that's what I'm thinking. Like when you said transitional periods, is that safe space between, like our meetings that we do Saturday to
Mm.
from that to our home. There's that transitional period. What do we bring or what do we pick up on the way home? Because we leave church, right? We leave church and it's like our spirits is lifted up and everything like that. And then what do we do? Like from church to home. Somebody's cutting us
Mm.
off, all of this. So we're just adding more and more baggage. And then guess what? When we get home, we start to unload. And unfortunately, the people that we love the most and the people that sometimes don't deserve it gets the brute force of us unpacking the luggage we just basically filled up for no reason.
I love that, Chip. I'm going to jump right in on this because I have, man, some thoughts, right? So like think about all the transitions. And if you're not familiar with these stories, a lot of them are in the Old Testament. The one that Chip was just talking about is in Daniel. But Abraham was asked to transition, right? He was asked to leave his home and go. And all these transitions, right? So and Abraham was asked to sacrifice his son, right? And all these transitions, and what I'm hearing you say, Chip, it makes so much sense. God is asking us to trust Him in the transition, not to figure it out, right? And I think that's part of what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are saying, right? Is that I will trust him no matter what, right? And yeah, I get it too. I agree with you. I don't see those statements as a lack of faith. I see it as more faith. They're like, look, we're resigned. If God wants us to burn up in the fire, then fine. If God doesn't want to, then fine. It's going to be whatever He wants. And I was thinking about this, like being prepared for the transition. And the guards, right, were asked to create this extraordinary fire. They were not prepared and they went up in smoke.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so are you prepared for the transition? Are you
That's
getting
so
prepared
good.
for it?
And if you look at it, right, and I know we're there's a short, quick one that's good. Who taught us to be prepared?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we, and maybe this is a topic we can talk about next time. How do we know we're in a transitional space? I think when we go into the wilderness, right? And this may not be the lingo for some of the new listeners or quote unquote new believers, and they may not be familiar with what the wilderness is. But I think the wilderness and the transitional spaces, there's something there. I think there's definitely a link there. When you're leaving one season of life and you're preparing to enter a new season, that transitional space, that wilderness in between, is a crucial growth moment that we cannot just pretend or shut off our mind and think everything is going to be good. But there's an importance there. That's when you will be tested. That's when you could potentially, there's a higher rate or a higher risk of attack in that area. So,
It's also I feel like it's the way it's basically that transitional period is a place where your brain basically starts to get ready for the next either season or the next space that they're walking into.
That's
So
okay.
meaning like, first you're focused on driving, all tension and everything because you see the potential, you see the danger, you see all of that, everything that is coming, but that when as soon as you parked, your brain automatically starts to get ready for what's at home, whether good or bad, whether you're gonna, finally be able to sit down, eat, whatever, like your brain is just starting to process and get ready for the next space.
Mm, I love it. Let's go deeper into this next week. Let's talk about transitional spaces as the link between that transition and the wilderness. So
Sounds good.
I love how we touched on it today. I appreciate you, Chip. I appreciate you, Samuel. Thanks for this intro, and we'll get back to it next week.
Until next time.
All right, boys.